Welcome to Epic Geek Out, the only show on the internet that knows zombies' only weakness, and it's love. I'm your host, Rob.
And I'm your host, Chat, and today we're talking about Warm Bodies, just in time for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, weird mix-up of love and zombies. And on Thursday, we're going to be reviewing FX's new show, The Americans.
As always, you can check us out over at Twitter, at Epic Geek Out. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/epicgeekout, and also check out the website, www.epicgeekout.com. But let's get into our review of Warm Bodies. So Warm Bodies is the zombie love story, which I never thought I'd really be putting those two combinations together. Some people are comparing it to Twilight, though, you know, I don't really see it following in that vein. But it's basically the story of the zombie R, who his heart starts beating for this girl, Teresa Palmer's character in the movie. And it is a movie that plays off of the zombie tropes of a movie, you know, it's being compared a little bit to Shaun of the Dead, and it changes them enough to, you know, do some new and interesting things. It stars Nicholas Hoult, Teresa Palmer, John Malkovich, Rob Corddry, did I get that right? Is very funny and provides some comic relief to it. So Chad, do you like your zombies with a heart or without it?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't awful. It wasn't a terrible movie. It's actually, there's some fun, new, original, interesting ideas in this film. When the trailer came out for it, I rolled my eyes and said, "Really? They're making this? I mean, come on."
Yeah, you did. And
they're definitely playing on the zombie fad right now, for sure. That's why it's out. I really don't see the Twilight comparison because it doesn't take itself seriously like Twilight does.
It doesn't.
I see it more of a Shaun of the Dead, though I didn't like it as much as Shaun of the Dead. I mean, Shaun of the Dead's classic, great. But this kind of fell somewhere in between, more towards the Shaun of the Dead, like for me. There's a lot of really interesting, cool ways that they brought new stuff to the zombie genre, like the bony zombies. The way that those kind of were created was really a good, interesting idea. I thought that was cool because it made sense. You know,
there were the zombies that you see that, you know, still resemble humans, and then there are these zombies that kind of like were like out of I Am Legend and you know, Dark, and it kind of was like once the zombies completely gave up on life, they turned into that. So
I thought that was cool because it made sense. It kind of didn't take your typical, like, immediately after the apocalypse, it kind of went down the road a little bit. They've already built the civilization to kind of survive in this world. So it kind of brought new light to that, which was pretty cool. As far as how, you know, it's completely absurd and ridiculous how this movie goes to the Cure angle. But you know, what it is it knows what it's going for the whole time, and that's something you can appreciate in a lot of movies that don't do that and kind of feel lost. This felt like it knew exactly what it wanted to be the entire time, and it just committed to that. And I mean, props for that, because it definitely did feel like a well put together narrative, I think, for what they were going for. So while it wasn't, you know, groundbreaking cinema, it definitely was fun in places. I could have done with a little less of the grunting, trying to speak thing, because it got towards the end when you're like, okay, well, at this point you should be better at this. You know, it got a little irritating because it just took them forever to say things. The fact that they were talking at all is kind of ridiculous, but once you just accept the premise of that, you know, you're just on for the ride for mostly what it is. And it kind of goes in this fun place towards the end, a fun little, like, adventure-y type thing. I mean, it's definitely corny for most of the movie, but the end kind of turns into a little action-y funness. So I think overall I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. You know, don't rush out and see it by any means, but if you happen to catch it, you're bored, you don't want to see the other two awful movies that were out last week, you know, this is definitely a good alternative for that.
Now, just real quick, do you think it's a good date movie?
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
So that's kind of the elements of both. You know, it is a romantic movie.
I think it's definitely less of a romance than it could have been, but, you know. Yeah,
so watching this movie, overall I did like it. You know, I'll start with that. I did enjoy it. There is no point where I didn't not like the characters enough that I wanted to walk out or stop watching it. It was enjoyable. It wasn't over long. It was just fine. But, you know, there are moments when the first time a zombie talked before any transformation happened, I'm like, oh, really? Are they really going for that? Is it... I like my zombies brainless, you know, mass horde that are, you know, one thing on their minds is, you know, to eat the people. And so, you know, it was a little hard to stomach in the beginning, you know, because they were able, the first word was hungry, and then the other one communicated with city, question, and, they went looking for food. But once you accept the rules that they created for their zombies, it's fine, because,
exactly.
it is, it's not like we've seen so many iterations of vampires, and they've been different. They've been to the point where in Buffy they blow up in the sun to they sparkle in Twilight. So it is horror. You can tweak the genre to make it fit, and they had to have some level of communication for it to work in this. So once you got over that, and once the transformation starts to happen, I didn't mind it as much. Whereas in the beginning I was kind of like, oh, I'm not looking forward to this in the future. Nicholas Holt's character R had an inner monologue through a lot of it, which I thought was really well done, and it gave a good way to explain what he was thinking and also interject humor. Reminded me of Scrubs, JD's inner monologue throughout it. It was, I think, well done. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of symbolism in this movie, and though it might have been heavy-handed, I don't think it takes away from any of the truth of it. There's a great shot in the beginning where the zombies are walking in an airport, and then there's a shot of what it was like before the zombie apocalypse with people on their cell phones, and just really showing how our culture is close to being zombies right now without the fact that we eat each other. So, the symbolism might have been heavy-handed, but still, I think it provided for some of the funniest moments of it. And, even in the end, kind of heavy-handed with you got to accept the other people and how enjoyed Forrest is, stuff like that. But, again, there is nothing off-putting about this movie. It
was likable.
It was likable, yeah. It's a romantic comedy with zombies, which again is odd for me to say, but you liked it. I mean, I wouldn't rush out to see it, but it
definitely had
if
a
you
potential.
want to see it, I think you can. I mean,
it had the potential to be a terrible, awful movie. I mean, the premise alone is just preposterous, but I think they did as well as they could have for this premise.
Yeah, and a lot of plot holes, and it seems like things they weren't filmed correctly, like out of order for some little parts, and just I mean, definitely plot holes, and at one point, they could only lumber like a zombie. At other parts, they're running. They're in peril, and he's still kind of lumbering. And it's like, well, other times he ran for food, and then all of a sudden the bonies ones have super strength. They kick a guy like 600 feet against the wall. Other times, they're easily fought off with just one other person hand in hand. So if you excuse that all, it's fine. It's fine. It's a fine movie, and I don't want to build it up to be anything that it's not. But I liked my time with it. Yeah,
it was definitely good. I think it definitely hit the premise and took it a place that was fun, new, and interesting. So if the premise to you is off-putting, I mean, give it a shot, because I think it was definitely worthwhile.
So it's that time of the episode where we like to give our thanks. Chad, what are you thankful for today?
I like memberships because I like feeling original and I'm part of something.
Of a club.
Part of a club. There's a couple really cool sites out there. For Christmas, I purchased my girlfriend's sister a membership to a site. It's called Birchbox, and it's basically delivers you every month. It's $10 a month for girls, $30 for guys, which is crazy. But every month, little samples of cosmetic stuff for girls. For guys, you can get cool socks, like Argyle socks, and little watches and stuff like that.
Little watch, they're minis, or
no? They're the watch that they had on there was to read your steps. It was a pedometer as well. Yeah. Stuff like that. There's also one called Quarterly.co right now, which is. It's kind of taking that premise to the extreme with people that you would follow, industry leaders, CEOs. A lot of CEOs are doing it. They go from anywhere from $25 up to $100, but they just put together stuff that they're into, books that they're reading, stuff like that. And then the one that I just joined called Dollar Shave Club for razors,
which is I am awesome. So happy that's not what you got. Her sister. I thought that's what you were saying.
Yeah, that would have
been
weird.
Oh,
that would have been weird because that's for men.
That would have been awful.
Dollar Shave Club is for men. There's 3 tiers: the $1 plus shipping, $6 without shipping, and $9 without shipping, and you get razor blades each month. And a really cool thing because razor blades are freaking expensive. They're $15 just for the pack. So this is just a cool way.
Does it bother you that they're different ones and?
Yeah, they're not name brand, but they're basically the exact same thing. They just don't have the name on it. I just used the one for the first time today. It has the hydro. It has like the stuff
Okay,
on it,
cool.
the aloe vera. Yeah, but so really cool subscription things coming out right now, and I think that's kind of like the new fad thing online, especially the ones that you're not sure what you're going to get each month. I think that's a really cool premise because I love surprises and gifts and stuff like that. So
I like gifts that I get myself on a monthly basis
exactly,
that they send me.
exactly.
Yeah, so I'm going to thank a movie that I just caught the beginning of, and really it's a tentpole movie for this show, for, you know, getting the Marvel, you know, series to where it is today. It's the one that kicked it off, and I think had an uphill battle to do so, but I'd like to thank Iron Man. Just rewatching that movie, the beginning opening before, you know, the screen hits with Iron Man, you know, it opens up with the Marvel, like the flip book through the pages, which is, you know, I love that. And just the opening is so great, how they set it up, the tone in which they go for, how it's comedic in the beginning, but then completely switches all of a sudden. And really, you know, Robert Downey Jr. is just tremendous as Tony Stark. Takes a character that I don't think a lot of people were familiar with before, and really, he is Tony Stark, and I fear for what it will be when he decides to actually leave. But, you know, that movie was just, it's great. And, it was just a tremendous little gem that, you know, I think blew a lot of people away. So, you know, definitely revisit it if you haven't, because we've come so far in the years since that has come out to have the Avengers now also. You know, it's just a great movie, so definitely check it out.
Cool. So we're going to be back on Thursday. We're going to be talking about The Americans, the anticipated show on FX. So make sure you check back for that, and we'll see you next time.